This is the Pint of No Return Show, Season 1, Episode 26, Oh Those Wild Hops.
I'd rather have lager than rye. I'll take a strong stout over dry. I prefer to confer with a half pint of ale and live a long life till my private parts fail. For life without liquor is to no avail, so bring me lager for life. I'd rather have lager than rye. I'll take a strong stout.
What's up, little ones? It's time for your favorite beer podcast. That's right. If Mommy and Daddy are out of the room, it's time for you to drink some beer. Come on. Just be over 21. Pint of No Return Show, episode 26. We now have just as many episodes as there are letters in the alphabet, and we're not going to stop. Woohoo! We're going to keep going until we've got all the Chinese characters. I don't know how many there are. Thousands.
Yeah, there's lots of those.
We're going to keep going until we have all the characters in every alphabet.
Awesome. Episode
Including
26.
dead languages.
I am Rob. We also have Keith in New York, Jeremy, and Gary in the sunny California. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Gary
I have
is-
a hard enough time keeping track of the number of shows we've done. I don't know if I can follow characters.
Oh,
That's
no?
okay.
No, I think we should stay with decimal numbers.
Oh.
It's 10.
Okay.
Great to be a whole podcast once again. We've
Again.
got Gary back from the great white Northwest.
Yes.
He went up and did some camping up in Oregon, I believe, and drank some interesting beers. I got a postcard from Gary. Why don't you tell how was your trip, Gary?
My trip was awesome. We do some camping up near Bend for a few days, and then we head into town for a few days and kind of hang out and stuff. So I got to put my drink tank growlers to the test, and it performed awesomely in camping. I had beer on tap for a few days, and it was great. And I ran out of CO2, and unfortunately the drinking company is in Bend, next to a great brewery called Good Life. So I went into town, and they sold me some just right out of their office. It's not like a retail store; it's just sort of like an industrial office park. And they just said, "Yeah, sure, come by." And it was a Friday afternoon, and they were even there.
Awesome.
How much CO2 did you use? I mean, how much beer did you get out of your single canister or whatever you had?
Well, when I bought the tank originally, I had 2 canisters, and when you put it, I don't have the thing with me, but when you tap the canister, it will leak slowly, and it had been a couple of months since I used it, so it was empty by the time I got up there. So I had a full growler and no CO2, so I had to go get some, and then I opened one and used it for that entire growler, and I'm still using it on the second one.
Okay, so you got at least 2 full growlers out of a CO2 cartridge?
Yeah. The first ones I used, I was doing it too much, and you can kind of have to back off the CO2. But now that I'm getting the hang of it, I think they'll last a little bit longer. So.
Okay. And how much does a CO2 cartridge cost you?
It was $36 for a bag. I don't know how many that was. 20 or 30, 25, something like that.
So less than $1 a piece.
I saw a special ad for them on one of the brew sites for it was like around $1 a piece. I think Drink Tank sells them more for like $1.50 a piece or something like that.
All right, so like $1 a piece.
Yeah, you can get them for around $1.
That's not bad though.
No.
For keeping your beer carbonated and fresh.
Yeah. It's if for anybody that can get to Bend, Oregon, I highly recommend it, especially if you like craft beer. There are a lot of great small breweries there, so it's really worth just driving from, say, New York to go to Bend.
Totally worth driving from New York.
Yeah,
that's only 4 days straight.
So do I get to drink my last one of last week's beer right now while we're doing the intro for the other ones?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Gary's going to catch up on
to,
what he missed last week.
So my penalty for missing a week is that I have to drink more beer this week. So I'm starting with what is this? The ginger pale ale, and I haven't. Is that what it is? I haven't heard the other guys' reviews, so we're gonna
All right, this will be good.
have a brand new experience. Did you have bumper music, Keith?
Yeah. Do you want me to just roll into this?
Sure.
Here we go. There you go, Gary. Bumper music. What do you think?
It was a little long for bumper, but yeah,
Sorry.
it gave me time to not appreciate this beer.
Oh! Play the bumper, Keith.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to play The Price is Right, but that's okay.
You know, it smells kind of yeasty for a pale ale. I don't know if that's just my bottle, but and it's got a nice color. It had a nice strong head on it, and initially it tastes, like beer, and then this thing comes up and bites you in the back and just makes you kind of want to cry. So,
I think that's called ginger.
I've had ginger beers and ginger ales and ginger cookies and ginger snaps.
Oh, I wish I had. I may have to cut that out and say I've had ginger.
I haven't had ginger.
Future show Gary here. I actually have had ginger.
That is just a gnarly wrong taste on the backside that doesn't belong in anybody's mouth or in beer especially.
All right, now, Gary, here's the true test. Because the three of us had the exact same score.
I'm guessing it was a 1.
No.
Oh!
That was my guess. It was
Good
not
try.
a good guess. What, a 0? Did we do zeros? No.
No, we had a 2. We had 2. That's very close. You're late.
I was close. I was definitely in the ballpark.
Oh yeah. We were just kind of reserve ones for Coors Lights and Buds and stuff. So, and we kind of thought it was slightly better than that, but it's really close.
It's the Coors Light might actually be better than this.
You know what? On a lark today, I looked at the Beer Advocate's bottom 100 beers, and gosh darn it, if a major market beer wasn't every single one of them.
Yeah. This is not worth. This is bad. I would rather drink Coors Light than this. That aftertaste is killing me. I don't know if it's because of I don't know why. But it's.
Well, you did manage to get the same impression roughly as we did. We all really hated that beer.
Yeah.
All right. So I rounded down the score. It still rounds to a 2 overall.
Yeah, it's still a horrible beer.
It's still a horrible beer. I'm going to see if I can get one of my little helpers to dump this in the toilet. Not even the sink.
Oh!
You can go out and water the garden.
In the toilet.
Do something for California.
Dump it.
Wow.
Dump it and rinse the glass.
In the toilet.
You can dump it in the sink. Sorry. Yeah, I should dump it on the grass. It would do more for the grass than it did for me.
So the question is now, which of our 2 beers for tonight do you guys want to do first? They are both Saranac brews now, which is the beer we hated last week, so I have high hopes.
Let's do the Pilsner since it should be a milder flavor versus the IPA.
All right.
The Saranac Wild Hop Pills.
All right, this beer has a little bit of a story behind it. Apparently, someone up in the North Country came across a wild growing patch of hop and decided to cultivate it and made enough of it to give to Saranac for this beer. And they decided that a Pilsner would be the most appropriate flavor for this hop. Now I have had this beer, so it's a little bit of a different hop. I will warn you all of that, and we'll go from there. So here we go.
A bit different.
Now, Beer Advocate actually lists this as an American Pale Lager.
Yeah, they
Even
call
though
it
the
a
bottle-
Pilsner.
Even though the bottle says Pilsner.
Yeah. With this hop in it, it doesn't taste anything like a traditional Pilsner. So I can understand some maybe trying to change the style on it, but I suppose the Pilsner definition depends on the other malts and yeast they used.
I got super head going on here, so I got to wait for that one.
I got a little head, but it's not too bad. It does smell,
5.2% alcohol by volume.
it does smell a little bready.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little fruity, maybe some dark fruits, plums.
As long as it doesn't taste like it was dipped from the river Styx, I think we'll be okay.
I don't know. I'm getting a little of that grapefruit hop that I don't that I shy away from. Once again, Saranac breweries. While we're waiting for them, Saranac beers come from the Matt Brewing Company, right in Keith's backyard, or just a few hours away.
Yeah, they're in Utica, which is just the other side of Syracuse for me. So maybe, 2.5 hours away from where I am. 3 hours from Rochester, probably.
Okay, I can probably drink through this hops.
You guys ready? Cheers.
Cheers.
Prost.
Prost.
Cheers.
Rob has laughter.
Rob always has laughter.
I bring the funny.
You do.
Well, now, okay.
Sure doesn't taste like a Pilsner to me.
No. More of a pale ale flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
probably the
It
hop.
doesn't taste like anything. Let me start while they drink. This is remarkably, or I guess maybe not remarkably at all, because it's the same company. This does the same thing for me that the ginger did for me last week. It just sits there. It does not do anything for me. I get the little bit, the bitterness of the hops coming through, and then the rest of the taste is just like a brick. It just kind of lays flat, not an awful lot of carbonation, maybe a little bit of the, that's just me, but a tiny bit of coffee, maybe a little smoky. But it just kind of lays. It doesn't do anything. Even with beers that I've done before, pale ales, IPAs, stouts, beers that I traditionally don't like, I can at least usually understand some kind of journey that the beer goes on. This one, it stopped at the welcome mat because it doesn't do a darn thing. And I'm going to be right back where I was last week, and Wild Hop Pills 2.
Ooh. All right. Before we do the next one,
offensive at all.
lime, bacon, or habanero brew salt?
See, he's already going for the brew salt before he even gives the review.
Yeah, well,
Habanero.
habanero.
Habanero or lime.
I'm gonna do lime. I'm running. I got
I
my
actually
lime.
might have gone with bacon.
My gut said bacon on that.
Bacon, really?
Yeah.
All right.
It screams. It's kind of a more savory beer.
Mm-hmm.
I am. All right. I've talked a lot already, so I'm gonna let someone else talk before I.
All right. Let me get my counterpoint in there to Rob's. I actually kind of like this beer. Its hop profile is definitely a little different. It's definitely not a West Coast grapefruity hop or really an East Coast kind of piney hop. It's kind of its own animal, and it's almost a throwback to like the European British hops. But it's not a great beer either. It doesn't wow me. I find it just a tad malty for a pilsner. I think the carbonation is okay. I kind of wonder if Rob's suffered a little bit in the Texas heat. Maybe that's why he's getting the same flavor profile from the ginger to this, because I really don't find it to be anything like the ginger.
Yes. The box that Keith sent me did sit outside for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, well, shipping to the wrong address will do that. It was only 2 days, by the way. It only arrived there the day before you got it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Oh,
maybe
good Lord.
24 hours in the Texas sun. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not a 2, but I couldn't see giving it anything higher than a 6. So I guess I'll settle around a 5. It's middle of the road beer. It's pretty easy to drink. I kind of would like it on a hot day. I can see where it would be kind of good as a summer, one of their summer seasonals. And it's definitely a kind of a milder choice than any of the super hoppy IPAs. So, yeah, 5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with the good on a hot day. It's a little bit crisp. The nose reminds me a lot of Gordon Biersch's. I think they called it Imperial Pilsner Lager. Imperial. What was that? IPL, which was a Pilsner style, if I remember correctly, but heavily hopped, and that was a pretty good beer. This flavor doesn't quite match that beer. This reminds me more of a milder pale ale. A little bit of bitterness in the finish. Not a bad beer, not a great beer. I'm right there with you at 5. It's okay, middle of the road.
Well, for me, this is night and day from the first one. Having just had the, I don't even want to call it beer, the GPA.
The ginger mess.
Ginger, yeah. It did. Keith said he had a little bready flavor. This is pretty dry to me. The hop flavor is not very pronounced, which I would expect kind of from a more wild hop as opposed to the hops that they really truly cultivate for the aroma and the bitterness. This to me isn't bitter at all, but it's not bad. It's not offensive. It does just kind of sit there. The brew salts didn't really do anything for it, and like the brew salts guy said, it's it can make a bad beer better, but it's not gonna it's not gonna hurt a good beer. This just kind of just changed the flavor, but not dramatically. So I think a 5 is probably a good rating for this particular beer, which rounds us up to a 4.25.
4.25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's pretty middle of the road.
Yeah, I mean
It's not great, but it's not bad either.
It's
a good effort. It's a good experiment.
Yeah.
What's that? I'm sorry. What was 3 point what?
4.25.
4.25. Thank you.
Yeah. I gotta go rinse the bacon out of my glass before we do the next one. I want to make sure it's a.
We can
that's
talk.
right.
Good
Let's
test.
finish this.
All right. Yeah, I drink mine quick.
There we go.
And to correct my Gordon Biersch memory, they called it IPB. It was an Imperial Pilsner Brau, I believe. An intensely hopped, robust Pilsner. If you can still find that, I would give it a try. It's a really interesting beer. Heavily hopped with the noble hops, and kind of a super noble hoppy beer, which is different. So it was an IPB that the nose reminded me of.
Well, this next one should be right up your guys' alley, because now we're talking West Coast hops. But what they did with this is they took what should be an IPA, an I standing for Imperial, or higher alcohol volume, hopped ale, pale ale, and knocked it back down to under 5%. So I guess it's a sessionable IPA, is what they're going
That's
for.
what it seems like, a session IPA.
Yeah. I mean, I wish they wouldn't call those IPAs, because that's very confusing. They're no longer Imperial at that point.
IPA stands for India Pale Ale.
India Pale Ale or Imperial Pale Ale means it had extra alcohol to make the trip from England to India without the beer turning on the.
No, there's plenty of single IPAs that are just IPAs that are India Pale Ales.
They're normally 6-7% minimum, though.
Yeah, that's not Imperial. Imperial is like 8. But yes, they are
But
definitely
this
higher
is on the low side.
Yeah, this is on the low side of anything you want to argue.
This is definitely more of a session IPA.
Well, let's see. Let's knock it open. Rob, you're gonna love this, I'm sure, especially after the last two.
Oh, okay, here we go. We're opening.
Yeah, let's go for it. Well, now it's got the right nose. Whew.
Oh yeah, it does
Big
smell like
citrus.
According
Big
to
citrus nose.
according to Wikipedia, which is the answer for everything, IPA is an India Pale Ale, not an Imperial Pale Ale.
Bah. I believe they're in pale ales. They're used pretty much interchangeably, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe for New York, but not out here.
Okay.
Because you can have an Imperial IPA. Anyway.
That smells more like a beer.
Oh.
Are we drinking or are we just smelling?
We're just smelling right now because my head is about more than half my glass, unfortunately.
Yeah, mine's pretty good. Oh, I got a new glass. You probably can't read that. It's from Crux Brew Project up in Bend. Pick that
Nice.
up. Which is a great place to watch a sunset in Bend.
Rob is just bemoaning the fact that he doesn't have to sip this.
I know. He's like, can we just get on to the other topics?
See, if we'd had this first, Rob, you wouldn't have had that. Oh, it smells like those citrusy hops that I hate when you're talking about the wild hop pills. You're going to be wishing for that beer in a minute.
All right, let's drink.
All right.
Cheers again.
Cheers, my friends.
Well, that's getting closer to something palatable.
Closer.
You know that it's not bad for being low alcohol. I will say that.
You know, in my opinion, session IPAs are really hard to do because IPAs, by their nature, are a little higher alcohol. You know, like we said, 6-7% is probably a normal IPA. So it's a I don't know. To me, it's a hard beer to make taste really well to drop the alcohol down to below 5.
I just want to point out that I just said that.
I'm agreeing with you. Is there something wrong with that?
No, I'm not used to it.
It's so much more sense.
Just because he said it better doesn't mean I wasn't right.
I'm more articulating.
This reminds
so
me
this
of
is,
one time when Keith and I back in the day were having an argument. I actually heard come out of his mouth, just because I didn't say it correctly doesn't mean I wasn't right.
Yeah. I stand by that today.
And I was about to offer a withering counter strike when I had to stop and actually think about what he just said. Just because I said it incorrectly doesn't mean I wasn't right.
All right. Jeremy was going to do a review.
Yeah, so this has got a nice nose on it. The hops come through nicely. It smells like an IPA. The body of this beer, though, is really thin, and like Gary said, it's hard to do a session IPA because you lose that body.
Gary said.
That really carries the beer. And Keith said, and everybody said.
I predicted it. How's
Keith
that?
didn't.
Gary.
I predicted that Gary would say it.
Carrie
Yeah,
said. So,
Just because I didn't say it doesn't mean I wasn't right.
That's right.
and the finish is real. I don't know. It's just kind of goes away. It's not anything special. So, it's a decent beer. It's really easy to drink. Not what I would choose for an IPA if I wanted an IPA, but it's not bad. I'll give it a 6.
6. Well, as I said before, session IPAs are not the easiest beer to brew. So anybody that's willing to try, you kind of got to give them credit. This is okay. It's good. It's certainly, of the 3 Saranac beers that we've had, it is the best beer. And if I had a mixed 12-pack in front of me, this is, out of these 3, the one I would definitely pick because it definitely has the best flavor profile and has the most going on. The other ones were just kind of, there. This one actually does have a little bit of interest in it. The hops aren't super, super pronounced, but it is a little thin. I would actually agree with Jeremy's rating of a 6. I think it's right on. But I don't know. It does have a little bit of bitterness. I think if they tried to up the bitterness a little bit more, it would be a better IPA. I think about the best session IPA I've had, and I haven't had very many, is probably the Lagunitas Daytime. But I'm kind of partial to stuff that's brewed here and where I live.
You do drink a lot of Lagunitas. I'm jealous.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I would drink more of it if it didn't cost an extra $2 for me for getting all the way across the country.
Well, they're brewing in Chicago now. Your prices should start coming down.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll go with the 6. I think that's a fair rating for what I would term a session IPA.
All right, Rob, go for it. Light us up.
I believe that these beers were mislabeled. I believe these beers were these 2 beers that we drank tonight were switched at birth, and I'll tell you why. I actually kind of dig this one, and
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, the hops that you get in this one are the more floral kind rather than the more citrusy that the other one had. And that right off the bat is a little bit better for me. But what I found when I drank it is that the hop taste came right up front, just like you would expect in an IPA, Imperial or India, take your pick. But that hop bitterness just kind of parted away and melted away, and there was kind of the aftertaste and the end of the taste was almost tasted to me like a Pilsner. So if I had not looked at these labels and drank this, I might have thought that this one was the happy whatever it is, happy pills or
Wild hop.
wild hop
Yeah.
pills.
Nothing happy about it.
That's not what I might have thought, because the end of the taste, the aftertaste is quite nice. I kind of like it, and I'm gonna go right with Jeremy and give this a 6 as well.
Wow. That's a good rating for an IPA for Rob.
It's pretty good.
Well, it
Shocked
tells
I
you about
am.
how
Yeah.
IPA it is.
Well, what I have grown to really love about an IPA is not the super hoppy nose and front end on it. It is that rich middle that comes up after it. You get that nice hop bite in the beginning, and then you get that rich middle that's all like buttery and warm, especially in an Imperial. And that this one just falls down on. This has got all the nice hop nose and front end, and then it just disappears. It just melts away to what is akin to water for me.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad, but it's not that good either. It just disappears.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing offensive about water. It doesn't come in with a bad aftertaste or anything. It
Water's
just goes
important.
away.
Yeah,
Water's
water's
important. Yeah, even California should understand. This is
I
not a
do.
bad thing. So, yeah, it really lacks that part for me. But that being said, I really like the hops up front. I think they did a pretty good job. It smells right. That initial hop burst is pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. They do advertise on this bottle that if you like this, you should try their Legacy IPA, which I can tell you I have had and is phenomenal. But I didn't send to you guys because I'm a rat bastard, and I want to drink it all for myself.
You wanted
So-
to disappoint us.
I do.
Thanks.
That is a fine Saranac IPA. This is as a session IPA or as something you wanted to drink a few of without getting completely wasted, it's probably a good go-to beer. It's probably a good grab beer if you're like the hops. But other than that, it's not great. I will end up giving it the same as everyone else, though. I will give it a 6 because it is better than the Wild Hop Pills by at least 1.
The same score, the same grade, but all different reasons, which I find really interesting.
Yeah. You know, Saranac did their ginger pale ale and their wild hop pills. I think that brewers trying to push the boundaries and experiment with beers and do different things is a good idea. But I think that them trying to do crazy things that just don't make sense, like a ginger ale, is not going to go over well. I mean, people like styles of beer. There are people that really like stouts and people that really like lagers, or people that really like IPAs, and they tend to gravitate toward those. And when you start trying to do too much and push a specific style too far, I think people don't really appreciate it, which is probably why we rated the Everyday IPA a little higher than the other two beers, because it's an IPA. I mean, it's a low alcohol IPA, but it's still it's still an IPA. The other ones were just kind of odd for their type of beer.
Yeah, but every big craft brewery goes through these, where they do these experiments and especially in the seasonals. The question is whether or not they have anybody besides the master brewer giving these a try before they decide to bottle them. And in the case of the GPA, clearly, absolutely no one gave that a try. They kind of smelled it and went, "Yeah, that'll be good," and then they put it in the bottle.
That seems like a beer that's a beer that somebody in the marketing group developed.
Yeah, exactly. The Wild Hop Pils, it's an acceptable beer. It's kind of an interesting flavor profile. So yeah, I can see that one getting out. That GPA, I think they tried to hide it in their mix pack just to get rid of it.
Maybe.
Yeah, nobody's going to buy a six-pack.
They made a batch of it. You know, they put it in the big barrel thing, and it came out terrible. And they're like, "Oh crap, we better send that out with summer brews."
Before we move on, one thing that I did notice about the smaller breweries in Bend is that they tended to stick to specific styles and not try to go too far off the beaten path, but do those really, really well. And I think that's really working. There's one brewery called Boneyard that's probably my favorite. That's literally in an old auto shop, and they're really a nano brewery, I think, because they don't bottle, they only keg, and you can only get the beer there, or in kegs at other places around. And they pretty much just stick to a few basic things and don't try to do too many wild and crazy things, but they do those few things that they do really, really well. And that's what I really like in a brewery, is when you find something that you do really well, and you kind of just stick to it and make sure that you refine that and make sure that the people drinking your beer truly appreciate that one or two things that you do really, really well. So.
And in Cerenic's defense, none of these are their staple brews. Again, this is out of their summer mix pack, and they're all experimental. So I will have to send you guys some of their staple brews so that we have.
Drinking their session IPA does make me want to try their other kind of normal genre beers.
And this session IPA is no longer in production.
Yeah, no, it was a limited run. All of these are a limited run. I believe they've all stopped. So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, and this one's not even listed on their website. I found the others, but this one's not even listed anymore. All right, good stuff.
All right, moving on.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
That's it? Oh.
That's sorry.
And here comes the
Shorter
DMC.
one.
It's time for Pint Taking, our weekly look around the interwebs, seeing what's cool and what's not. Tonight's first topic is a real quick one. You may mention, or you may remember, a few months back, we talked about Robert Downey Jr. and how much he embraces the Iron Man character. Really gets into it, really seems to love and enjoy it, and I really appreciate that. I think the other guys do as well. Chris Pratt is a guy that before this summer I'm going to assume most people hadn't heard of. Now, he's been on the hit TV show.
My kids know who he is.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt. Yeah.
He's been on the hit TV show Parks and Recreation for about 5 years now, and I know him from that show. The kids, of course, will know him from last fall's hit, the Lego Movie, because he was the main character in that. But this summer, in particular, his career has really taken off as he was in the in the runaway hit Guardians of the Galaxy, which takes place again in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he portrayed Peter Quill, also known as Star-Lord. Much like Chris Pratt, Star-Lord's kind of a goofball action hero, maybe a little sillier than Malcolm Reynolds, but kind of in that same genre, the flawed hero making his way in the galaxy. But the story this week comes from E! Online, and Chris Pratt showing his coolness. He went to the Children's Miracle Network Hospital in Los Angeles. Now, it's nothing unusual for stars to visit the hospital to visit sick kids, especially stars that kids really identify with. And with him, he brought a special screening of Guardians of the Galaxy for all of the kids, or as many as could attend. There were some that actually were too sick to attend, but more on that later. While the movie was playing, while the kids were sitting in this kind of, I guess, makeshift movie theater that they brought them down to, Chris Pratt went out of the room, and when he came back, as the movie ended, he was dressed as Star-Lord. He actually brought his costume with him, dressed up as Star-Lord, and posed with the kids for as many pictures, autographs, and laughs and jokes as they wanted. One of the kids in particular, his name in the article is Dylan Prunty, is a huge Lego fan and, of course, recognized Chris Pratt from the Lego movie. And I guess Chris Pratt really identified with him because they spent about 10 minutes going through different scenes from the movie and acting them out. So Chris Pratt's kind of a big kid. And I would say that's great. That's a real awesome thing for him to do. But following that, and that's probably about 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours worth of time that he's already spent there. He took another 3 hours and went to other parts of the children's hospital and visited the kids who were too sick to actually attend the screening. He brought with him toys, special memorabilia from the movie, and again signed autographs and all those kinds of things. And not only is it cool that he really embraces this character, loves this character, wants to do this character in a number of sequels, wanted to bring this character and the experience to as many kids as possible. And in a world where you are far more likely to see your favorite movie star, TV star, sports figure wind up drunk or in jail for illegal drugs or something like that, it's really cool to see someone take what they've got and do something worthwhile with it. So hats off to Chris Pratt.
That is really cool. Did any of you guys see that movie?
Yes and no. I went and saw Star-Lord a couple of weeks ago. However, right as the movie was ramping up into the climactic finish, the fire alarm went off in the movie theater, and we all had to leave. I was given a free pass to come back, but I haven't gone back yet. So I haven't actually seen the end of the movie, but I saw about an hour and 20 minutes of it.
That is a really good movie, and quite possibly is the best Marvel movie to come out. It's just it's a fun movie to see. I actually paid to see it twice, and Chris Pratt did a phenomenal job. And for somebody who's in the limelight right now, Marvel, any Marvel movie is a big movie, but for someone to take that kind of time and to hang out with kids and give them that kind of just boost, even for a couple hours, I think is a pretty cool. So, cheers to Chris Pratt for doing that. And I've only seen him in The Office. My kids watch it on Netflix all the time. It's always on, but I kind of just walk through the room, right?
Yeah, you mean Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec, sorry. Yeah, Parks and Rec. I did stop for 10 minutes and watch part of the show when he was in it, and he was really funny in that.
Chris Pratt is hysterical, man.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I am him as Star-Lord. I am really looking forward to the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie more than I am looking forward to the other Marvel Avenger movies, just because this was just a lot of fun and had a lot of humor in it. The other movies are great action, kind of, lots of explosions and fighting and all that kind of stuff. But right. Guardians of the Galaxy was sort of like Goonies in space in a lot of ways. I mean, it was just a fun movie to just sit there and watch.
Well, I like that description.
Yeah, I think it's probably my favorite Marvel movie of all the ones that have been out.
I mean, I have to give my tip of the cap to the Avengers for that one, but Guardians of the Galaxy, at least the part that I saw, was awesome.
Okay.
Being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and doing something entirely different. And while no Marvel movie is a gamble anymore, this one was a kind of a gamble for Marvel because it was not a readily established property among non-comic book people. It wasn't something that everybody was ginning about flocking to seeing. I mean, there was, of course, the intense ad campaign, but anyway, it's about to pass the $500 million mark.
Yeah.
Worldwide. So it's success is awesome.
This movie, my wife Galadriel, who, even given her name, is not a sci-fi fantasy fan. It's not her thing. She went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy and thought it was a great movie.
Yeah.
So
really good.
It's a wide appeal.
Keith, looked like you were trying to say something, but I think your mic was off.
Perhaps that's why.
There we go. He's like, why those dicks not listening?
Wow, Gary's just totally stepping on me. What an ass he's being tonight.
Sorry.
No, I think this movie proves that all bets are off for Marvel. They literally can do anything.
They're printing money.
With their production machine now, and we will go see it and love it.
Yeah.
I no longer have fear for the upcoming Ant-Man feature. I'm sure it's going to be amazing at this point because of stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy. I just can't. They just cannot do these movies fast enough at this point. And I, as you know, am a long time critic of the comic book movie genre and its constant reboots. But it seems Marvel can do no wrong, and I just wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, I will say that for a first movie, I didn't want to go too much into Guardians of the Galaxy. We hadn't talked about it yet. For a first film in this series, setting it up as, quote, the origin story, it did not spend much time as an origin story. It pretty much got right into the action, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
And it should serve it as an example to other studios and even to Marvel as they start up properties that you don't have to give an entire backstory to make a good movie.
No. Yeah, it was good pacing, good writing, good acting. The cast was well done.
Yeah. All right. So going on to the main thrust of our pint taken, I want to see how much these guys are beer drinking. Fools. Like, they know their beer. I am kind of new to the beer game, but they've been around for a long time. So I want to see how good the three guys are at beers. The folks at Beer Infinity came up with the ultimate beer quiz. Can these three, Keith, Gary, and Jeremy, talk the talk as much as they drink the drink? Guys, are you ready to take the beer quiz?
In my sleep.
So ready.
Collectively, three brains.
After 3 beers, throw anything.
Those weren't even
It's a
beers.
15-question quiz, multiple choice. Here we go. What is your gender? Oh, we can fix that. Got that.
Neutral.
Age and gender. Never mind. Here's question number
Not
one.
to say.
Which country consumes the most beer annually? Is it Russia, Germany, Brazil, China, or the U.S.?
China.
China, by far, just from the volume of people.
Gary,
'Cause they drink
Jeremy,
the-
consensus?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Based
What were you
on
going to say, Gary?
Nothing.
Sheer volume?
Yeah.
What is the top, number two, what is the top selling beer in the world? Is it Heineken, Bud Light, Coors Light, Budweiser, or Corona Extra? No fair typing.
Well, it's actually none of those because we just had that go through the chat room earlier today.
Oh yeah.
But for the sake of this argument, because this quiz is at least a couple weeks old, I'll say Budweiser. The Budweiser brand is definitely.
Budweiser, Bud Light, Heineken. What were the
I
other
think
ones?
Bud Light was number 2 according to what went through the chat room today.
Heineken, Bud Light, Coors Light, Budweiser, or Corona Extra.
I
gotta
say
be Bud
Bud
Light.
or Heineken.
Bud Light,
Yeah,
I think, was number 2
I
on
might
that
even-
list
I
that
might
Jeremy
even-
posted.
I might even throw in Heineken as just a kind of gimme, just because Europe has a lot of people.
We have a disagreement. What
Well,
should we
like I
go
said,
with?
Jeremy posted the link to the snow beer that we were joking about yesterday or today
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the chat room, as being the most drunk beer in the world due to China drinking it all. But the number 2 on that list was Bud Light. So since snow isn't an option, I'm going to go with Bud Light, and I don't think there's really any reason to argue with that.
Yeah,
since
I'll
I have
go with that.
and science
And-
on.
Your logic is sound.
As topical as today's podcast, question number 3 is, what does IPA stand for?
India.
Is it India Pale Ale, Imperial Pale Ale, India Pale Amber, Imperial Pale Amber, or International Pale Ale? We're going to go with India.
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 Number 4, name the oldest brewery in the world still functioning today. Is it Yuengling, Pennsylvania, USA?
No.
Smithwick's, Kilkenny, Ireland?
No.
Stiegel in Salzburg, Austria.
Maybe.
Weihenstephan in Bavaria, Germany.
I think that's right.
That
Stella
sounds-
Artois, Leuven, Belgium.
No.
Or Grolsch in
No.
Groenlo, Netherlands.
Germany.
Bavaria.
Yeah.
Bavaria.
Weihenstephan.
Yeah.
Which 3 countries consume the most beer per capita? Is it Luxembourg, Poland, and the UK? Czech Republic, Germany, and Ireland? Austria, Canada, and the US? Or Austria, Denmark, and Finland? Kind of a stupid question.
Czech.
Yeah.
Germany,
Czechoslovakia.
and Ireland.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything with Ireland drinking booze is kind of
Yeah, that's gonna win. Yeah, that's.
Can we pretty much write off the Luxembourg answer because there's only 2 people?
Well, it's per
Yeah.
capita. If they both drink, it's 100%.
Oh, you're right. It's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
Don't write them off for that. They could be the slight dog in this.
Sleeper. But
Yeah.
you're going for the Czech Republic.
I'm going to still go with the Czech Republic, Germany, and Ireland.
From personal
Yeah.
Obvious
experience,
choice.
beer is a quarter in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're going with that.
All right. The Reinheitsgebot is the German beer purity law for beer from the year 1516. Which of the following ingredients does it state must be used in brewing beer? Barley, hops, and yeast. Barley, hops, and water. Hops, yeast, and water. Or barley, yeast, and water.
Barley, yeast, and water.
Yep. I'll go with that one.
Hops
Agreed.
are not a mandatory ingredient.
All right.
No.
Which country is Castle Lager from? Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, South Africa, or Zambia?
Who cares?
My guess was Denmark. So.
It's a test to see how well you know beer.
It's a
I've
lager.
never had
Who cares?
Castle Lager. I'm going to go with South Africa, but I don't. I've never even seen it here in the States.
What was? Yeah. Whatever.
Is there a
he
New
said.
Zealand or you know what? Who cares? Yeah, it's a lager. It doesn't even count.
Okay.
Yeah, they
I'll
had both
put it down.
Australia and New Zealand together.
It's like a soft drink.
not right.
Now I know you knew this one, so it's softball. What is an IBU a measurement of in beer?
Bitterness.
Color.
What?
2 out of 3 of us say bitterness, and the other one should be shot. So
Which brewing conglomerate has the highest volume of global beer sales? SAB Miller, Heineken International, Carlsberg Group, or Anheuser-Busch InBev?
InBev.
InBev.
Yeah. SAB
None of them
Miller's
really
close
make
behind.
beer, so who cares?
But
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
You're up to question number 10. In the brewing process, which of these steps is not always performed to produce beer? Milling the malts, mashing to convert starches into sugars, adding hops for bitterness, flavor, and aroma, fermentation of sugars into alcohol, or clarifying or filtering of beer?
Which is
the
not
last-
Well,
performed?
actually,
Not
both
always
too.
performed, which
Not
is
always.
Hops
performed.
is not required to make beer. We just went through that, but
Yeah.
neither is filtering. So I think
I would
there's
say
two in there.
filtering.
What,
I think
was
the
the first
answer
one?
they want is filtering, but we just also approved in a previous
What was,
question.
what was
The first one
It
was
sounds like
milling,
you're milling the malts.
and that could, beers like Budweiser, it's debatable that they even use any malt in that crap. So
Yeah, well,
I would go with filtering along Keith's
yeah.
lines of logic.
I think they want filtering on that one, but that's a rough question.
Which
Yeah.
country has the fastest growing beer market? China, Brazil, Russia, Vietnam, USA.
I'm going to say U.S.
China has the fastest growing everything market,
Yeah,
and I'm sure craft beers are just starting to peak over there too.
Yeah.
All right, 2
Although
out of 3.
Vietnam could really, what Keith said.
2 or 3 of our
US
experts
craft
are
revolution.
China. All right, now this is an objective or a subjective question, but here it is anyway. Which beer is, quote, maybe this is one of their slogans. Which beer is, quote, probably the best beer in the world? Budweiser, Guinness, Carlsberg, Stella Artois,
Oh God,
or
no.
Heineken.
Guinness is the only one that is worth drinking in that list.
I think I don't.
I
I'm
think
pulling
it's their
this out of my
slug
ass. Yeah, this is
Are
the
you asking
slogan.
teenagers or people that drink beer?
No, I don't
It's-
think it's a.
It's not an actual rating. It's their slogan,
but
and
let's
and I-
rephrase that as which beer's slogan is probably the best beer in the world.
I gotta go with Carlsberg on this, but I may be pulling it out of my ass.
Yeah,
think
I'll
it's-
go with that.
I think it's Stella Artois, but I'm not an expert like these
I don't.
guys.
I don't
I
think it's.
think that's-
Let's give Carlsberg something here.
Carlsberg's like tagline is something about beating your wife.
We're almost there. Question number 13. How long did national prohibition in the USA last? 15,
Still
13,
going on.
10, or 18 years? 15, 13, 10, or 18?
I'm going to go with 13 only because it's a prime number.
I'll follow you with that. I actually don't know how long it lasted. I just know it was a
Okay,
mystical
and
time in history.
Does Rob look like he's trying to reproduce the Bohemian Rhapsody video, or is it just me?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, let's say 13.
Okay.
I like your logic there, Gary.
Which of the following is not an official Trappist beer producer?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Now we're actually getting into beer questions, not which beers sell most or marketing.
So what are our choices?
Kaime,
Okay.
Okay.
Leffe, Achel, La Trappe, or Vestmala.
I'll go with Kaime.
I think Leffe. I don't know Leffe as a Trappist beer. I know Chimay, and La Trappe are. I think they are.
Leffe?
That might be the trap, but I think Leffe is not, to my knowledge.
I am not. I actually haven't looked into Trappist beers all that much, so I'll defer to Keith's expert knowledge.
It's not. It's far from expert, but that's what I don't believe that's a Trappist beer.
To be perfectly
It's
honest,
an old English or old British or old European beer. Really? You never had any of the Trappist beers?
They don't make IPAs.
No, they don't. But it doesn't mean they're not good.
We've done some Trappist beers on the show.
Yeah,
maybe not when before. It was
Old
post-
Magic
BC.
Hour did.
If
Yeah.
Lodges or Russian River do a Trappist beer, I'll drink it.
All right, last
they
question.
They have to be
Last
Trappist.
question, number 15. Which of the following beers has the least calories? Beck's Pilsner, Budweiser, Guinness Draft, Newcastle Brown Ale, or Stella Artois?
I'll
Stella.
go with Guinness.
You think Guinness?
Nah,
Guinness
it's
is
gonna
pretty
be
low
Stella.
alcohol.
Yeah, but it's rich and malty. That's gonna have
It's not.
calories.
It's not that rich.
No, it's not compared to other stouts, but compared to a lager, it is. Compared to Stella, it is.
All right, I'm
Stella's
sticking with
on the
Guinness.
list.
We have two different opinions here.
Mm. We have a dissenter. What
Jeremy
do you
was-
think?
I'd say Stella.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 say the wife beater beer.
Which, Stella?
Stella.
Stella! All right. Submitting
Good choice
answers.
for European white trash.
All right, now. How do you think you did?
Not very good.
It really wasn't a beer quiz. It was more about like which beers sell the most in production.
Well, and even that, there was at least more than one question that had, I think, multiple right answers. So
yeah,
if I don't do anything perfect, I will officially launch a protest.
All right, you missed 2 questions. 87%. They officially label you as beer geeks.
All right, well, we'll take that.
I saw a bumper sticker that said Beek, B-E-E-K.
Beeks.
Yeah. Nice.
You missed one that really I didn't think could care less, and that was the last one, which is which of the beers had the least calories. It's actually Guinness Draft.
That's what I said.
Calories.
That's what Gary said. So that we had one of us had it right.
So so what would I get for?
But that's less surprising than the other one that you missed, which was question number 6, which is about the German beer purity law.
Oh no!
Your answer was barley, yeast, and water, as must be used in the brewing process, and that is incorrect.
It's not barley.
Oh yeah,
It's hops and water.
It's barley, hops, and water.
Because it can be fermented spontaneously.
Wildly. Yeah. Should have known that.
I'm shocked that you got that wrong.
Yeah, well.
You know what? I'm a little ashamed that we got that.
You know, we live in America. Come on.
But
That's
for
true.
all you got,
Well, and
of the others
we've had
right.
several comments before that the German purity laws don't mean shit anyway, because they don't say you have to use good water. You just have to use water. So it's what is pure about that?
Well,
you could call this water and use it.
I know you could reuse the GPA in another beer.
one thing is for sure out there,
Far from pure.
you PNR listeners, is you're listening to at least 3 out of 4 experts. 3 out of 4 guys in this show are experts.
Something.
I would have got that wrong. I got a bunch of those wrong. So clearly, I went to the right source.
It's a good thing you were reading the quiz, right?
Let's put down the pint taken and go on to our half pint segments and the bumper music.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe.
Are you kidding me?
I liked it.
We're picking up the young kids.
Yeah, this is our segment where we each one of us gives a 1 or 2 quick little things that we think you should take a look at this week. And as always, we start with Keith, who has nothing listed on our show notes. What's your pick, Keith?
I didn't know we did show notes anymore.
Every episode.
Just like Rob doesn't know we have a chat.
Rob doesn't know we have a chat or pay attention to it.
I'm sorry, were you speaking?
No. I had downloaded a game over last weekend that I was hoping to have as a pick for this show, but I haven't played it yet. And so, because I've spent all my free time still playing Hearthstone, that new expansion came out for Hearthstone, and it has just absorbed every free minute I have. I've been playing through the heck of that thing, and I've just beaten all the levels on regular, and I'm about to go back and do it again on heroic mode, just because it's been that fun. The new adventures that you go through are solo mode ones, which are nice for me because you can pause them and do something else and come back to them. They don't time out because you're playing with another person. So that's been kind of fun to do.
Awesome.
And the new cards, every week they've been releasing another quarter of it, and which puts new cards into the meta. So you go through and play constructed, ranked with everybody else, and the decks are changing every week. So it's been pretty crazy, but in my opinion, a lot of fun. And the last one just came out this week, so hopefully the things will stabilize a little bit now, and I can fix my decks up and move on to something else to look at every now and then. But right now, I am just playing Hearthstone on my iPad all the damn time.
Sorry, I wasn't. I was distracted by the show notes.
Going back and reading them all now.
Well, here's the thing. I have my windows kind of separated, and the group chat sometimes gets covered up. So that's why I wasn't paying attention to it. But I see it now. Yeah, we're going a little bit long, but that's okay every once in a while. Keith, what was the game that you were thinking of trying?
I think it's called Goddess. It's a kind of a typical style God game where you have worshippers, and the more worshippers you have gives you more powers to do things for
Okay.
them
Cool.
and to the people opposing them and stuff. And it's developed and kind of tweaked for the iPad, so finger gestures and moving stuff around and stuff. I literally went through the tutorial, put it down, and went and played Hearthstone. So I don't know if it's a bad thing for the game or if it's but just I can't get away from Hearthstone right now. So
Gotcha.
I'll try to play this week and let you know if it's any good.
My pick for this week is actually split into two, but it comes from the same game company, Indie Games. For me, back to the board game world, Avalon, Resistance. These are basically the same board game with just different themes strapped to them. Resistance is a trader mechanic board game in which you all get together as members of his resistance trying to overthrow evil overlords, if you will. Unfortunately, someone in your group, or two people, depending on how many players you have, is working for those evil overlords and are trying to sabotage you. And by going on different quests and using different powers, your job as the resistance is to find out who amongst you has betrayed you and to isolate them and not use them for quests. Avalon, basically the same game, but with like a King Arthur skin on it. The Knights of the Round Table, and one of you or two of you are working for the evil Mordred or Morgana. And it's got a lot of replayability. It's very fun in a party setting. You can play up to 10 people, which is great. It's very cool, and it's also very cheap. Both games you can get for about $15. In the same world as the Resistance is the card game Coup by Indie Games, and they basically, you are struggling for influence over government officials in the same community. There are 5 different government officials that you try to have influence over. You have 2 of them face down in front of you that you definitely have influence over. On your turn, you can, for example, take coins or steal coins or assassinate other characters by claiming you have influence over one of the 5 people. You may have them in front of you, you may not. You may be lying. Your opponents can challenge you to prove that you're right, or can oppose you using cards that they claim that they have. So it's a bluffing mechanic, it's a trust mechanic, it's a gambling type of game, and the best thing about it, or the 2 best things about it, are it's about $10, and the games take about 5 to 10 minutes to play, so they're over very quickly. It's very fun and very simple to learn. So check out the folks at Indie Games. You can go through Amazon, through our website if you would, and then we get some money out of it. Coup, Avalon, and the Resistance.
Check the show notes. There will be links.
There you go. Gary, what's your pick?
My pick is a pick out of absolute and total frustration with Apple's horrible, abysmal piece of junk podcast app that I am just so sick of dealing with.
It's horrible.
I finally got to the point where I said, screw this, and I went and got this other app called Overcast. And
Gary?
I heard of that somewhere.
Last week.
Was it last week?
Am I in a time machine?
I
See,
picked it last week.
That's what I get for not watching the show. So
you stole my pick, you bastard.
That's the way it's supposed to
No,
work.
it just means great minds think
Oh,
alike.
actually, give me your recommendations on it, because I want to hear your version of it, since you haven't heard mine yet. Anyway.
So
I've been again.
It's worth. You know what I did? It's on the front screen of my iPhone, right there, up in the upper corner. That's where I put it. It's not like buried back 4 screens deep. It's like on the first page.
Same here.
So, I actually paid the money. It's like $5 to get the unlocked version of it to do all the stuff, and it's got some pretty cool features. You can build playlists. But one thing that it actually does is it downloads the podcast to your phone, which is a really important thing for a podcatcher to do. So I've been happy with it. It's been great. and you have to pay the money to get cellular download. If you don't pay the money and do the free version, it'll only download when you're on Wi-Fi, which is probably what most people want anyway. But it's just been so simple and easy to use that I've been enjoying it and recommend. And I gave them the $5 just for making my life more peaceful.
Okay, well, you gave them the $5. Have you tried any of the effects?
I haven't tried the effects yet. I'm interested in the voice boost effect.
Yeah, well, the voice boost effect is nice for in the car. I use that all the time on all of them.
Yeah.
But the speed effect, where the first one is where they don't actually speed up anybody talking in the podcast, it just eliminates all the silences.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That worked really well. So anything that's non-story based, I put that on, and I get through a half-hour podcast in like 20 minutes easy.
Oh, that's good.
It really saves time, and you don't lose any audio quality. It's really good.
One of the cool things that I haven't actually tried is you can change the seek back and seek forward speeds to be different. Like in Apple's, it's like I think 15 seconds. You have to hit it to reverse.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
so
you
I
can change it up to a minute, I think.
So the options are 7, 15, 30, 45, and 60 seconds, and they can be different. Your forward and back can be different. So you can say seek forward 7 seconds, but seek backward 30 seconds. So yeah, it's just a easy, simple, nice user interface. Amazing that Apple could actually learn something about user interface and ease of use from somebody else, because their stuff is generally easy to use. Their podcast app is a total piece of crap.
It's for such a
I have
user-friendly.
no problem with their podcast app. I downloaded Overcast, and the sign-up process irritated me enough that I deleted it immediately and went back to Apple's.
Jeremy,
But all you have to do is tap it, and then you say turn on cellular and say yes, and then you listen to it.
Dude, it's horrible. It is so horrible.
I don't know.
Managing podcasts. I love Podcruncher's the one I use, but I can easily see how Overcast is a great one also.
I was a big Downcast user before then, because Downcast has these really nice gestures you can use from in your pocket. But since I've gotten Bluetooth headphones,
that sounds
it did sound really bad. You can swipe the screen of your phone without looking at it to do different things.
I don't want to know what you're swiping.
Very cool.
But since I got Bluetooth headset with those controls on it, I don't really need those anymore. So I definitely switched to Marco Arment's Overcast, and I haven't looked back. It's been wonderful.
All right, so you got 2 recommendations for that.
There you go.
2 independent recommendations for that.
And I do apologize. I skipped right over Jeremy, but I'm sure he's going to be the last but not least. I love a good sci-fi novel, and Jeremy got one for us.
Old Man's War is a really, really fun series. It's military science fiction. I will give you the first couple of chapters, and then you go from there. Old people on Earth sign up for the Colonial Defense Forces because they know they can be young again. And when they hit a certain age, they are recruited, taken off planet, and their adventures begin. That's all I'm going to tell you. There are three main books in the series, and then there's a couple of extra stories that go from there. But the core of the series is 3 books. They're really fast to read. They felt when they ended, they felt like they should have been about 3 times longer. Super easy to read, really fast-paced, and if you like science fiction, highly recommended. Old Man's War.
You're not the third person to recommend that series to me, so I think it's going to be next. I'm just finishing up Mistborn's 3rd book now, and I'll be ready for some sci-fi after that series.
Yeah,
so I
have some bad news though for you on this. The Sci-Fi Channel is planning to make a TV series.
Yeah, I heard that.
Based on this universe.
I heard that.
But now you can read the books and skip the TV.
Yeah. I mean, it could be their 1 out of 100 crapshoot like Battlestar Galactica was.
Yeah, as I say, don't crap on them.
Or it could be another Sharknado.
It could be a Sharknado, yes, and we can always hope that it's a Sharknado.
The little bit that's come out about it since then, it says it will be in their universe, and they're kind of loosely basing it on them, but it's not going to be totally based on those books, so it sounds like it could be pretty good.
The universe has a lot of room. They could do a lot of things with it.
Yeah.
Well, just like a Sharknado, we're going to whip ourselves out of here in a fury of teeth, water, and a little bit of blood. Thanks for joining us on the Find No Return Show. Next week, Keith, is going to be episode 27.
Oh, I have to remember that for a week?
Yes,
Is that what it
and
is?
pick beers right now.
I can't. I don't have them in front of me.
So bring me luck.
You have to come and be part of our chat room if you want to know what the news are for next week.
A chat room every now and then. Old people shoot lasers like nobody's business. What do you want?
Come on, Keith, turn it off.
God.
Oh, the show isn't done yet. I like the length.